I've been asked to talk about the structural challenges within the constitutional, legal, political and educational framework. Now, I think the biggest challenge of all is creating the political will for action. Then, of course, we have to express that political will, but we cannot move unless the political structures that we work in take the decision to move. So my remarks are really about why it's difficult to create that, but I want to do that, of course, in a constructive way. In thinking about why it's difficult, we ought to also be able to understand how we can move forward and create that political will. Now, this is one of the most difficult problems in my view, and I'm going to speak particularly about climate change. It's one of the most difficult areas in order to create the will for action. And in order to think that through, and then of course overcome or try to overcome the difficulties, we have to go back to the science, because it's what the science tells us and the way in which the process works that makes it so difficult to create the political will to move. So let's just remind ourselves, I'll do it very quickly because it's common understanding here, but the way it works, the way the physical structures that we're talking about work, make it politically especially difficult. Now, let's remind ourselves about the process of climate change. Now, I know this is much broader than climate change, and most of my remarks apply to the whole sustainability story more generally, but to keep it specific, I'll focus on climate change. The story then is one of we as human beings emitting more greenhouse gases than the planet can absorb. That's step one. And then the second step is that the concentrations go up, so it's a flow-stop process with a ratchet effect. That's extremely important. The concentrations go up, more energy is trapped, the temperature goes up, the climate changes, and the climate change has its impacts on people.
Now this declaration, which I want to read, this meeting represents an important breakthrough for the Club of Rome. India has emerged as a major economic force and will be one of the most important voices of the future, representing 20% of the world's population. The themes of building a new economy need to be based upon respect for the environment and decoupling of carbon use from growth while meeting the legitimate needs of the population. Eradicating poverty is central to the changes needed to fulfill the promise of a safer and more secure world. Many lessons have emerged from India's development path, which will be of central importance to many countries and societies. Key elements of the discussions of the last 2 days have included the interconnectivity of water, food and energy security leads us to believe that the numerous ecological crises facing the planet cannot be dealt with in isolation. Without the integration of ecological valuation, the conventional model of economic growth is outdated. The current financial crisis indicates the urgency for a paradigm shift. To meet the challenges of moving to a sustainable world requires significant shifts in the way economies are managed. It requires major changes in both production and consumption systems. There is an urgent need to reform the global financial sector to increase its stability and improve its management, to ensure that finance is made available to the real economy for investment and to increase employment opportunities. An important start should be made by introducing a tax on financial transactions, which could simultaneously foster prudency into what has become a volatile financial sector and provide significant funding for the new investments in areas such as clean energy. It also will require finance, especially for adaptation to potential climate change and new investment to shift to a low-carbon, clean energy economy. We remain concerned that the current global financial system is not fit for purpose. The meeting has also given high priority to the issues of values, ethics and behaviors, particularly in relation to global corruption, tax evasion and insider trading. We remain committed to elevating the debate on values and ethics to a central pillar of the work of the Club of Rome, whether in India or internationally. The search for a common shared vision of a better world lies at the heart of the changes we need to support. Values do matter. The Indian National Association of the Club of Rome announces, we will create ecological positivity in the verticals of water, food, energy and biodiversity. The social impact of our work would result in employment through the creation of green jobs. We will publish position papers on our systemic approach to development and will recommend actionable plans for policymakers in the government. We will create a knowledge portal highlighting case studies of innovative approaches to development which are community-based and culturally relevant to our Indian inheritance. We will support global think tanks within and beyond the Club of Rome network in the advocacy of ecological positive solutions at international forums. We encourage like-minded thinkers and activists to join the Indian Association of the Club of Rome. Thank you.